think in a typical attorney fashion, because I was surrounded by attorneys my whole life, my own attorney, they're some of the least forgiving, cheapest individuals I have ever met in my entire life. And will never forget. Good.
Day-to-day life.
I know it's easy to make fun, but so they're overutilizing her and underpaying. Of course, of course, I am biased.
Of course.
So,
right. But you know what her work is.
yes.
And who does she work for?
Or a law firm. Oh my God, do I have a card? No, I think the card got drew. Got water. I don't think so.
It's what? I guess so, yeah. Right? Well, Ethan's the taskmaster, he's not here.
Oh, you mean Ethan's over?
Yeah, I'm ready to start. I want to go.
No, nothing. Sorry. Next time. Golly, I knew it would happen. And now, oh my God, I don't. Oh, that's all I have to say.
We're going to get started. Just make sure.
Yep, Dorothy Diamond,
Excellent.
mother of Cassie Becker. You're on here.
Also, would it be possible, because I'm going to be away for my father and stepfather's year, so,
You want me to say their names tonight?
yeah, would you
Sure,
mind?
absolutely. What-
Bernard Diamond, that's her second husband, and Harold Circus, S-U-R-K-I-S,
Harold
S-U-R-K-I-S.
Circus. All right.
So,
Happy to do
three
that.
birds with one
All right,
stone.
no problem.
So it's a pleasure meeting.
Oh, nice to meet you. Thank you for introducing yourself. I appreciate it.
Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hinei matov, umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov, umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom. So this week's Torah portion, Re'eh, from the book of Deuteronomy, deals in both lofty aspirations and harsh realities. The portion reads, "There shall be no needy among you." And just a couple of verses later, the Torah goes on to say, "If, however, there is a needy person among you, do not harden your heart and shut your hand against your needy kinsman." It is from such verses that we understand that we must ensure that everyone has at least the minimum of what is necessary to live. Now, included in that notion is the ability to earn a living, to earn a fair wage, and in safe conditions. Labor Day, which we shall observe on Monday, is born out of the struggle of workers for such conditions. It was by organizing that workers were able to improve their lot. Factory workers, those who worked in sweatshops, banded together and created some of our nation's earliest unions. In 1888, a young Bundist immigrant from Russia named Bernard Weinstein helped create the United Hebrew Trades, an association of labor unions. Samuel Gompers, who would go on to found the American Federation of Labor, or AFL for short, was born in a Jewish ghetto of London and immigrated to the Lower East Side, where he found work as a cigar roller. In 1900, the International Ladies Garment Union, or the ILG, would be founded by 11 Jewish men. The tragic Triangle Shirtwaist Factory of 1911, which claimed 146 lives, mostly Jewish women, led to the growth of the ILG and revolutionized labor conditions in this country. You see, before we wore Ralph Lauren, and I know some of you are wearing Ralph Lauren tonight, and before Ralph Lauren was even Ralph Lauren when he was still Ralph Lipschitz, before we owned the factories, it was our rather recent ancestors who were the cutters, the pressers, and the sewers, who worked in unsafe conditions for long hours and little pay. For many, Labor Day weekend represents the last official weekend of summer, a return to school, the impending high holy days. But it is also a day to honor work, to honor workers, and to recognize the long and important struggle for workers' rights. To remember perhaps our very own ancestors who spent long hours at a sewing machine so that we would not have to. We continue with Shalom Aleichem on page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malechei Hasharet, Malechei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem LeShalom, Malechei Hashalom, Malechei
page 20 as we welcome Shabbat with Lecha Dodi. This evening we have an abbreviated version. We'll be doing verses 1 and 9.
Shalom, Ateret Bala, Gam B'Simcha, U'Tzola, Toch Emunei, Am Segula, Boi Chala.
While you're standing, I invite you to turn to someone and wish them a Shabbat Shalom. We continue with the Baruch Hu on page 28.
Listening to my prayer. Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la.
We continue on page 30 in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובתבונה משנה עיתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים, במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, כולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. We continue together at the middle of page 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gave to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What can be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Mahuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Mahuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Continue on page 40.
Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh. Norati hilot osei felech, norati hilot osei felech.
We continue together on the middle of page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledoretam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledoretam berit olam. Beini ubein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledoretam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledoretam berit olam. Ubayom hashvi, Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledoretam berit olam.
We continue with the Amidah beginning on page 46. Please rise.
Adonai sefatatita uvia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Anorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Aseh Avot v'Imahot, U'megila livnei b'neichem, Le'ma'an Shemo ve'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezra Sarah.
Each week since October, we have been remembering someone who is being held captive, and we reserve a seat of honor for them on the bima. Tonight, we remember Sagi Dekel Chen. Sagi, 35 years old, climbed to the roof of the communal dining room at kibbutz near Oz and issued a warning that Hamas terrorists were entering the kibbutz. Sagi, who was born in Bloomfield, New Jersey, worked on a project to convert old buses into mobile technological classrooms for undeserved communities in southern Israel. He became a father for the third time while in captivity. She's beautiful. Her name is Shachar, which in Hebrew means dawn. She is the brightest light in our horrific darkness right now, says Gillian Kay, Sagi's stepmother. His American-born father, Jonathan, a professor at Hebrew University, was away on business that day. He has been a part of the American delegation of family members of those missing who hold U.S. citizenship. We continue silently, and when your prayers are complete, please be seated.
Say shalom in Rama, Uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. Amen. Oh, say shalom in Roma. Hallelujah, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru. Amen. Oh, say shalom bin Rama. Uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. Amen.
We take this time to turn our thoughts to those who are in need of healing. Mishaberach Avotenu ve'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, Yivarech et hacholim. We pray for the well-being of those from our family: Menachem Mendel Ben Gittel, Sam Frankel, Elaine Caro, Mark Rafe, Gary Fox, Vida Aziz, Diane Cooper-Schmid, Harry Mesh, Zani Adiv Ben Ruvain Va'ahava Simcha, Lucas Muhlenweg, Stanley Friedlander, Celia Schwartz, Sandy Gold, Warren Philip Kosen, Elliot Barry, Bruce Needle, Phil Kaufman, Greta Berman, Sura Bat Eliezer, Marcia Kendler, Kevin Farrell, Victor Morales, Yitzhak Ben Avraham, Elaine Rosenberg, Constance Breslin, Avram Kobe Ben Yisrael Ruvain Margalit, Larry Rosen, Trudy Rosen, Shmuel Ben Avraham Visabra, Marty Eisman. And if there is anyone who you would like to remember tonight and would like to share their names with us, I invite you to do so now.
Ricky.
And to those names, we add all of those whose names we hold in our hearts. And we continue on page 253 with the Mishaberach.
Bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imoteinu mekor Abraham lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And now we turn our hearts to the gladness of Shabbat, and we join together for Kiddush. So if there is something that you're celebrating or something that you're excited about, I'd love to invite you to join us on the Bima. Maybe it's a birthday, an anniversary, maybe school is starting. Isn't that worth celebrating? So please join us up on the Bima. Or maybe you just like a little grape juice. Where you want to go? Yeah. Let's make a little room. Come on, Sophie. Oh. Yeah, wait, one more. Sophie. There you go. Yeah, we got it. All right. And please rise. We're on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'ratzon hinkilanu Zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom tequila lemikrae kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim ki banu baharta ve'otanu kidashta
So tell us what you're celebrating.
70.
10. We'll leave you to figure that out.
Anniversary,
Huh? How many?
55.
55. Wow. Wow. And,
I start college on the 3rd.
yay! Congratulations. All right. Thank you. Last drop. Get the last drop. There you go. All right. And you may be seated. All right. So tonight we're going to have a little bit of a text study. So I need Izzy and Lev to help me pass these out. Thank you. They're both going back to college too, so they didn't come up for any kidding. We'll wait till most everybody has a copy. I don't know if we have enough for everybody, but if not, you'll share. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. So I'll get us started by saying that one of the things that I personally get a lot of satisfaction out of is living in Jewish time, right? And it starts with the week, even how the week goes, and getting ready for Shabbat each week, whatever that might mean. For me, it very often means writing a sermon or preparing for a B'nai Mitzvah on Shabbat morning. But then there's the larger elements of time, the larger markers of time, like the months, the holidays, the seasons. And we are about to enter the month of Elul, one of the most important months on the Hebrew calendar, right? So on your page that you have, and if you don't have one, just share with someone else, please. You'll see on the top Elul written in Hebrew in the little graphic, and then right underneath it in English letters, right? So who can read those 4 letters? What are the names of those 4 Hebrew letters for me? Where are my Hebrew scholars? Who knows? Perfect, thank you. Hannah's one of our Hebrew school tutors, so I hope she knows, right? Right, Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed, right? So now what do these 4 letters have to tell us about this Hebrew month, which begins in just a couple of days, right? On Tuesday and Wednesday, we begin the Hebrew month of Elul. So what do these 4 letters teach us about the month we are about to enter? Well, there are several different understandings, probably many more, of what these 4 letters mean. But we're going to start with the one that is probably most familiar, and that is reading Elul, which is the way we pronounce it, Elul as an acronym for a verse from Song of Songs, right? So that's the first piece of Hebrew that we have on top. Do I have any Hebrew readers who'd like to read that for us in the Hebrew? It's in transliteration right underneath it. Yes? Exactly. Ani l'dodi v'dodi li, right? And who would like to read the English of that? Yeah. Great. Thank you. Thank you. So now, Jewish tradition regards the Song of Songs, from which this verse comes, as a love story. Who is it a love story between? Who said that? Right, you're right. Right, it is a love story between God and the people of Israel. And perhaps that is why we know these words very often. We know these words better than a lot of other Hebrew verses. You may see it on a ketubah, a marriage contract, right? You may see it on a wedding invitation. Some people have it inscribed on their wedding bands, right? So this is a verse that we're familiar with. And so why do we associate, what's the connection between this month of Elul and this verse, I am my beloved is mine. First of all, the acronym. So the first letter of each of those words is the same letter as the letter that makes up Elul. So the Aleph in Elul is the Aleph in Ani. The Lamed in Elul is the Lamed in Ledodi. The Vav in Elul is the Vav in Vidodi. And the final Lamed in Elul is the Lamed in Li, right? So that's the acronym. But why did this verse become so connected with the month of Elul? What's the connection? Is there a connection? Anyone want to hazard a guess? So this, yeah. Go ahead. It has right. Well, so it has to do with what we're supposed to be doing this month, right? We are 1 month away from the high holidays, right? From Rosh Hashanah, right? My sermons are all written, of course. So what are we supposed to be doing this month? What's our task this month? Preparing, right. We're supposed to be preparing. And what are we supposed to be doing? What's the thing that we're supposed to be doing? Here's your visual hint. Returning, yes. We are supposed to be returning. Right. And what are we supposed to be returning to? What are we supposed to be returning to? To God, right? Maybe to our true selves, right? So this idea of this connection between us and God is reflected in these words, I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine. And it's reflective of a relationship, right? And often we know that in relationships, the routine demands work to distance us from those that we love, right? We're too busy to connect, too pressed for time to share a kind word, too caught up in our own lives to notice something about someone else. And the idea is that maybe it's the same between us and God, right? We have grown distant from one another, right? And so busy with our own lives that we can't even remember the last time we had a conversation with God, right? So Elul invites us to reach out to God and rekindle that relationship, to make special something that we probably have been taking for granted for too long. So that's the first imagery that we have with for Elul with Ani, Ledodi, Vidodi, Li. Now the next interpretation comes from a rather unlikely source, and this one comes from the book of Esther, right? So anyone want to venture to read the Hebrew? Anyone? Any Israeli speakers here in the room? Anyone want to read the Hebrew? Thank you. From the voice way in the back. Thank you. So, and would someone like to read the English, the translation for that? Okay. All right.
Just say for sending gifts to one another and presents to the poor.
Right. Thank you. And the acronym here is that, as you can see, the letters that are in bold, Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed. Right. So what does this have to do with our getting ready for Rosh Hashanah? What could be the story here? So toward the end of the story of Esther, our ancestors, having narrowly escaped death, turned that day of what would have been mourning into a day of celebration. And among the things that they're supposed to do are send gifts to one another and gifts to the poor. So what does that have to do with us getting ready for Rosh Hashanah? Right? Are we supposed to be sending gifts to each other? Kind of, maybe, right? So, and what might these be? Right.
Well, our relationships with each other in the community.
Right.
It's as important as our relationship with God.
Okay.
On Yom Kippur,
Right.
you can't make atonement to God until you've made atonement between you and the people that you wrong.
Thank you. So this verse serves to remind us of our responsibilities, both to the people in our smaller worlds and in the larger world around us, right? It's a reminder that this is a month when we can connect with others and when necessary to repair those connections, especially if they have grown weak or tenuous over the last year. And perhaps the gift that we can actually give to someone is an apology when we have hurt them, if we have hurt them over the last year, right? And the other category of gift here is for those who are in need. And this reminds us of our responsibility to care for the poor, of the interconnectedness that we have with each other. And if we use the coming days during the month of Elul to be a bit more introspective, we might consider how in the coming year we'll do our part to heal the world. And we have one final interpretation, and this comes from the book of Deuteronomy. Annie volunteers to read the Hebrew there. Thank you. Your Hebrew is very good. Right. So this, and anyone would like to read the English of that? Pete?
Then Adonai your God will open up your heart and the hearts of your offspring to love Adonai our God, your God, with all your heart and soul, in order that you may live.
Great. Thank you. So this verse comes from the book of Deuteronomy, and you can see the 4 letters in bold that relate to the word Elul. So this comes from the book of Deuteronomy, and that's the book of the Torah that we're currently reading. And these words come from a portion called Nitzavim. Now we read Nitzavim on the Shabbat right before Rosh Hashanah. The last Torah portion we read before Rosh Hashanah, and it is so important that we read it again a couple of weeks later on Yom Kippur, right? The holiest day of the year, right? Maybe some of you have chanted it for us. I don't know, anyone have chanted that? Those lines here at Temple? I'm not sure. So it's so important we read it just a couple of weeks later. And the idea of teshuvah, or returning, is used many times throughout this portion. So what is this about? What is God doing in this verse? What's God doing? What? Reminding, right. God is physically doing something here, right? God is physically opening up our hearts, right? So God is actively working to bring us close, to turn us back to God. So the least we could do is meet God halfway, right? And that's what the whole month of Elul is about. It's about meeting God somewhere, maybe somewhere in the middle. There's a Hasidic story comparing God to a king who is normally ensconced in his palace, where he is merely glimpsed at and addressed only through intermediaries, right? Lives a very secluded life, not near any of his subjects, never interacting with them except but a few who live in the palace. But during the month of Elul, this king leaves his confined spaces in his palace, and he comes out, and he goes out into the streets, and he goes out into the field so that he can be approached by any of his subjects, so that they can all talk to him during the month of Elul. So Elul is a time for divine closeness, a period of connection, a time when the connection with God should become easier. And we should all take advantage of the coming days, the coming month, as we begin to prepare ourselves now for Rosh Hashanah in this way, to kind of think about how we can be a little bit closer to God. And speaking of living in Jewish time, it's traditional to announce the new month on the Shabbat before it begins. So we're going to do that now. So if you'll turn to page 261 of our prayer book. This is the prayer for the new month, L'Rosh Chodesh. And if you're able, I'll invite you to stand. Our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. Rosh Chodesh Elul, Hiyeh B'Yom Shlishi V'Yom Revi'i. The new month of Elul will begin on Tuesday and Wednesday, and may it be a good month for all of us. And together we say, Amen. And we remain standing. We're going to continue with Aleinu on page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula liyoter breshit, shelo asanu harason, velo samanu k'mishkavot adama, Osam Kalkenu Kahem Begoralim Kekol Hamonam Banafnu Kori Umishkakari Moti Lifnei Malkehamami Hakadosh Baruch Nemar Behaya Adonai Lemelech HaKoretz Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad Ushemo Echad.
Please be seated. Finding our way through grief is a lot like making a tapestry. As we grieve, memories of the past, of our losses, are gradually being gathered up, reclaimed, and woven into the present. Eventually, a pattern emerges. A picture that shows the past and present have been rewoven. Now, to appreciate the art of a tapestry is to look at both sides. The back of a tapestry can tell us about brokenness. There we can see all kinds of broken threads that were left dangling, and where they were securely tied together again. When we study the front of a tapestry, we see something quite different. We see the bigger picture. We see all of the connections. We see the unique patterns and shapes our life has created. We might even see wholeness, that there is, in fact, beauty, that in grieving our losses, we have become the artists of life. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. And when I announce the name of your loved one, you are invited to rise and remain standing. We think of those who we have lost in the last 30 days. Barbara Greenberg, grandmother of Rabbi Becky J. Bruce Werner, stepfather of Gideon Rosenbaum. Jerome Rosenberg, father of Mike Rosenberg. Rebecca Schwartz-Mayer, niece of Deborah Blum. Mark Goldstein, father of Elaine Morgenthau. As well, we recall those whose yurtzites we remember this week. Irma Bartok, Morris Becker, Melvin Berry, Henrietta Blaustein, Eleanor Bauer, Ruth Cohen, Bernice Cohen, Dorothy Diamond, Manuel Garshofsky, Abe Gasparo, Stephen Gerstmann, Abraham Goldberg, Minna Griebel, Helen Green, Herbert Grossman, Gustav Halvazarkis, Nathan Hirsch, Francis Herzer, Elaine Isaacman, Samuel Jaffa, Abe Kivo, Naomi Kivo, Sidney Klein, Earl J. Crone, Lisa Curry, Joel Langholtz, Ralph Langsam, Gertrude Steiner Lieberman, Lily Marcus, Jeffrey Marks, Norman Malashok, Jack Naftel, Neil Resnick, Irving Rosenberg, Leo Rosenberg, Murray Rothstein, Ira Schwartz, Barnett Seidel, Esther Shapiro, Francis Shapiro, Seth Shaw, Shlomo Shaya, Martin Schulman, Ida Shurin, Nathan Shurin, Seymour Silver, Louis Citron, Paula J. Spivak, Irving Straver, Howard Sweetwood, Jeanette Rose Tell, Morris Ull, Helen Usherson, Mark Vogel, Ira Waller, Joseph Weinberg, Dorothy Yates, Trudy Zuckerman, Bernard Diamond, Harold Circus. And if there is anyone whose name you are recalling tonight and would like to share them with us, I invite you to do so now. And sacred, and if you were in the first year of mourning, I invite you to rise. In solidarity with all those who mourn, we turn to page 294 and rise a fable for the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Tamir Rabbah, Bialma Devra Pirte Biamalech Malkute, Bachayakon Uvyomakon, Bachayakol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala Gizman Karib Imru Amen. Yehe Shme Rabba Mevrach Le'elam Omer Omayim. Yitbarach Yishabach Yitpar Yitkamam Yitnaseh. Yitadar Yitaleh Yitalal Shme Getusha Ripu. Le'ela Min Kol Birkata Deshirata. Tushbakata V'nechamata. Datmiran Bialma V'imru Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya. V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'imruma. Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, and to which we say, Amen. You may be seated. A couple of announcements. We continue observing Shabbat tomorrow at 8:15 with Holy Scrollers and the Minyan at 9:30 in Levi House. There will be no Bible class this week. However, on Wednesday, September 4th at noon, join Rabbi Becky J. for the first of a three-part series on preparing for the High Holy Days. That'll be Wednesday, September 4th at noon. And later that night, Wednesday, the 4th at 7 p.m., join Irit Malinsky for the Women and Kabbalah class, also in Levi House. Our first Jewish Book Council program is on Thursday, September 12th. When I'll be very excited to welcome a friend of mine, the author Margalit Fox, author of many books. Her latest book, The Talented Mrs. Mandelbaum, is the true story of a Jewish woman who becomes the head of a crime syndicate on the Lower East Side. It is a true story. Right? I've known Margot for over 30 years, and she's a fantastic writer and a fantastic storyteller, so I hope you'll join us. Please see the weekly e-blast for information on the high holidays, our annual drive for Family Promise to provide housing for those who do not have homes of their own, and our many programs for the upcoming months. A big thank you to Allery, Suzanne, and Jerry for providing such beautiful music for us. And our closing song, Od Yavo, on page 353.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, salam, salam Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, salam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam.
So I need some help taking the cover off of the challah. So if you have not yet become B'nai Mitzvah, and I know there's a few of you in this room, come on up and help me. What about Sunny? Come on, Sunny. We need your help. All right.
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
And my helpers get the first chance. All right. Oh, that's right. All right. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Feel free to come up there and tell them all about it.
Oh my God, she's so good.
And you know all the answers.
I was trying not to answer because it's like, shut up, Anna. It's like, no, stop it.
I need the answers. I'm
I
sorry.
know,
Thank
but
you.
well, your husband didn't do such a bad job.
No.
either.
Well, you lived in Israel for 2 years. You better be
That's
speak a
right.
line of Hebrew.
It's so good. Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you so much. I'll be back. Don't worry. Yeah, I'm coming back, and I think I'm leading services with kids for the high holidays. And Yom Kippur. I'll be back.